Sonic has faced plenty of villains that are focused on taking over or destroying the world, and Dr. Starline is no different, as he seeks to surpass Eggman in virtually every way possible. However, Starline's latest creations might be more nuanced than the Doctor had hoped. Within the metallic walls of Eggman's hijacked base, Dr. Starline is recording his entries explaining that Operation Remaster is moving into its final stages of testing, and that with this, the Sonic cycle will finally be broken. And before you comment, no, he isn't talking about the game cycle. Starline, much like us the reader, has observed over and over again Eggman getting his butt handed to him by Sonic, and yet Eggman tries similar ploys every time, all just to be foiled by Sonic. Tired of this stagnation, Starline wishes to shake things up. He believes that Sonic causes Eggman to tunnel vision, and I can see where Starline is coming from, and I think this makes him one of the most interesting Sonic characters to date. He sees that there is no evolution despite numerous attempts to take over, and with this perspective on things, he believes he sees a grand picture that Eggman can't. However, this is a clear example of Starline's flaws. He sees himself as superior, and while he calls Eggman out for his tunnel vision when it comes to Sonic, Starline gets the same way when it comes to Eggman, constantly seeking validation from his former boss, wishing to surpass him at every turn. Starline's next step involves getting rid of the heroes of the planet, such as Sonic and his friends. By controlling the hero versus villain dynamic, Starline believes that he can shape the world. Now, if this is sounding familiar to you at all, it could be because it closely resembles the plans of Syndrome from The Incredibles, where he sought to take out and replace the heroes of Earth with himself, thereby controlling the narrative. After a long journey of gathering the right components to make this plan possible, Starline is finally ready. We then see a training course and a streak of green light flashing by. Starline notes that Sonic is about style and attitude as much as he is about power, so that's why building another Metal Sonic won't work when it comes to taking him down. With that said, we finally see Starline's creation, Surge, and she is definitely packed with attitude, perhaps more than the Doctor intended. Created in the image of Tails, Starline also reveals Kit Tsunami, the perfect partner for Surge. Kit tells Surge that they have less than a minute to finish the course that Starline had laid out for them. Surge speeds off through the course, taking out the Motobugs in the way as Kit holds the gate open for her using his water kinesis. Despite finishing the course in time, Starline is less than pleased with this result since Surge had left Kit behind. Now, Starline's way of talking down to people and Surge's attitude begin to be a problem as the two start clashing with each other. With Surge in the Doctor's face, Starline uses his hypno gear to put her down and wipe what Kit had seen. We learn that Starline had built a vulnerability to hypnosis into the two so that he could control them easily. That night, Starline sends Surge and Kit on a mission, and we see that he doesn't want Surge to assassinate Sonic's friends for fear of him becoming vengeful, which he believes would make him unstoppable. Rather, Starline wants to break the Hedgehog. The two begin this phase of Starline's plan by starting a forest fire. A few days later in Central City, Surge would spin dash through the city, causing electricity to fly everywhere and throw the city into disarray. Just a few miles away in Emerald City, Starline visits Tails' house and comments on how he takes after Eggman in weird ways, seeing as how Tails has a house in the shape of his head. Starline is worried that through Bell, Tails might be able to find a way to reverse what he has done to Kit and Surge. However, Starline is unable to breach Tails' door despite using his tricore. Eventually, Surge and Kit arrive, and Starline asks Kit to see if he can use his water to bypass the door, but it's too secure even for him. Becoming impatient, Surge tells Starline she'll knock it down for him. Stopping her quickly, Starline informs her that the whole point of this operation was to be stealthy. Deciding that enough time had been wasted, Starline and the duo retreat. Back at Sigma Base, Starline finds reports showing that Amy had stopped the forest fire, saving the campers, and that Surge and Kit had been seen causing mayhem in Central City. Surge seems rather happy about this and tries to convince Starline that they did a good job. However, Starline is not pleased at all, feeling that this is the kind of result that Eggman would achieve. He then informs Surge that he has one final test for her and Kit. Furious at all this testing, Surge erupts at Starline, foaming at the mouth to destroy Sonic. Starline tells her that she has the power to change the world, but to do so, she must follow his instructions. Starline wants to remove Eggman from play so that he can't get in the way of his plans. At this point, you can tell how uninterested Surge is as she cuts Starline off and then berates Kit, who is worried about her getting hurt. Starline slumps back in his seat annoyed as Surge rambles on about just wanting to take Sonic down by punching him till he stops moving. Her mind has become so twisted by Starline's hypnosis and experiments, and it's clear that because of this, she has a few screws loose. Starline asks Surge how she would even find Sonic and what she would even do if he had his friends with him, and it becomes very clear that Surge has no plan that would end successfully for her if she went off on her own. This angers her, and she takes her frustrations out on Kit, and while yelling at him, she questions why she even wants any of this. She can't even recall if she has met Sonic or not, and Kit doesn't quite understand why he wants what Surge wants. Annoyed and deciding he had let this go on long enough, Starline reboots their minds, or so he thought. Lunging at him while his back was turned, Surge had managed to stave off the device and now wants answers. But before she can do anything else, a panicked Starline uses his hypno device again, this time making sure it got the job done. Starline begins to worry about the growing resistance to the mind control that these two are having. Spending so much time on this project, Starline decides that he can't abandon it now. As Surge and Kit come to, Starline puts on an Oscar-worthy performance, telling the two that they had glitched and passed out due to their enhancements overloading. Starline then convinces the two to go ahead with his last test, which involves targeting one of Eggman's bases. Starline records another entry on his computer, once again talking about Operation Remaster. He recalls the events which took place in the Bad Guys spinoff, where he used override codes to secure Eggbase Sigma, which is currently his center of operations. He then says that this time he will be targeting Eggbase Alpha with an override program. Noticing the stress on Starline's face while planning, Surge jokes with him. Using Kit's water powers, they map out the Eggbase as Starline gives the rundown. I found this part to be pretty funny as the targets are towers and Kit asks about the one to the north, and Starline informs Kit that the north tower is just for Wi-Fi because Eggman has a gaming setup there and gets really good ping. Surge gets mad that this plan involves her babysitting Kit, to which Starline tries convincing her that that's what she wanted. We can see the confusion Surge is having as the mind control device is taking its toll on her and yet becoming less effective with each use. The plan is now ready to be put into motion, and the three leap over the walls of Eggbase Alpha, ready to do their part. Surge and Kit run across some badniks, and while Kit wants to take a route to avoid detection, Surge rushes in before he can finish his sentence. Taking out her rage, Surge destroys the badniks with animosity. Kit hesitantly informs Surge that Starline doesn't want them raising any alarms, and Surge replies that Starline is nothing more than tech support and she does things her own way. Disabling an egg pond, Starline slips into a building and notices a door labeled Egg Cave and mentions that he has enough time for a detour. Arriving at the tower, Kit tells Surge that it's gonna take a few minutes to have it disabled. Running very low on patience, Surge says she can break it down and doesn't care if Eggman is alerted. But before the two can finish arguing, an egg breaker appears right behind them. Having something to fight, Surge allows Kit to disable the tower while she battles the egg breaker. Just barely avoiding its attacks, Surge finally gets fed up and tells herself that Sonic would be running circles around this machine. Making herself mad with the thought, Surge powers up and causes significant damage to the egg breaker. Finishing his task at the tower, Kit hurries back to find Surge still battling the egg breaker. Surge is hitting the machine with a barrage of homing attacks, and as Kit calls out that he's here to help, Surge gets distracted enough that the egg breaker is able to land a devastating blow to her, seemingly crushing her under its might. Cutting back to Starline, we see him looking at models of Eggman and himself as he reminisces about working for Eggman, vowing that he will surpass him so he can welcome him back and the two can rule the world together. Using the full might of his emotions, Kit uses his hydrokinesis to launch the egg breaker into the sky. Moving the rubble away, he finds Surge, who is apparently not hurt at all from the attack. The egg breaker isn't defeated quite yet though, as it comes in for one final attack. This time, Surge is ready as she speeds around it, removing its head as it comes crashing down. As Surge kicks the dormant machine, Kit alerts her sure that they're surrounded. As the two gear up for another fight, the bandits start clapping to the surprise of the duo. Starline comes in over the intercom saying that they have successfully captured the base, which includes the bandits which now serve him. The two enter the control room to meet up with Starline, who is very apparently in a good mood. He tells the two that now the master plan can begin and inquires what happened as the two look worse for wear. Kid is about to tell the truth, but Surge interjects, stating that it was nothing. Surge tries to distract Starline by saying that they should enjoy the victory for now, and this seems to work as he dismisses the two. Once they're alone, Surge tells Kit that they need to figure out what's going on. That hit she took should have killed her. What did Starline do to enhance them? Why can't they remember anything? There was only one thing that Surge knew for certain, and it was that Starline was at the center of it all. If you'd like to help support this channel, you can do so by becoming a channel member. This gives you access to tons of cool features, such as member-only posts and awesome badges created by Saffy Taffy. Members of the channel will also get featured at the end of each video, so if you enjoyed this content and you want to help support it, consider becoming a channel member today. I would greatly appreciate it. Now back to the video. We open once again with a Starline entry on his computer, and he looks crazed as he rants about Eggman tossing him to the side. Starline continues to rant about how he will construct something superior to any Badnik and Metal Sonic. Switching to a later entry in the computer, we see that the events of the Bad Guys spin-off comic had inspired Starline to change his initial plans. He now believes that he needs something with the will and ingenuity of a living being. Starline then reveals Surge and Kit in tanks as he experiments on the two. We come to find that Surge and Kit are watching these recordings of Starline trying to figure out what exactly is going on. Surge makes a quick remark about Starline wanting to be an influencer since he makes so many videos, and Kit gets a bit worried that they're going behind Starline's back. While digging through Starline's numerous files, Kit appears to find something that piques his interest. Here we see that Starline has implemented the two with cybernetic enhancements. These enhancements will then be installed with ingredients that will allow Surge and Kit to emulate the likes of Starline's greatest enemies. Looking to Eggman for inspiration, Starline reveals that he has overwritten the personalities of Surge and Kit to give them new ones, making them the perfect puppets for his plan. Upon seeing this recording, Surge becomes enraged, while Kit is too stunned to speak. Watching more of the footage, we see evidence of this personality brainwashing as Starline implements a deep-seated hatred of Sonic and Surge and convinces Kit that he lives to support her. Using the resilience of the metal virus, Starline was able to repurpose it so that Surge and Kit were nearly indestructible. But the one thing that Starline had not accounted for was the psychological trauma caused by the vulnerability to hypnotism that Starline had implemented in them. We really get a look at how evil Starline is as we see the duo suffer while going through Starline's rigorous training. He just smiles and laughs it off as he says that he has to constantly wipe their minds. Fueled by anger at this point, Surge wants to see more, but Kit can't take it anymore. Surge wants to know who they were before Starline turned them into these cyborg monstrosities. Kit searches the database, but it comes up blank, and at this moment, Starline walks in, telling them that who they were before this is irrelevant. Surge yells at the doctor, who tells her this conversation always ends the same. And like we've seen before, Starline raises his hypno glove to wipe her mind. However, this time, the two are a bit more prepared as Surge looks away and Kit rises high up, boosted by his water pack, moving around like Dr. Octopus. He strikes at Starline, but Starline is a step ahead as he uses his electro spurs to meet the attack, sending electricity all the way up to Kit, taking him down. Surge uses a spin dash to attack the doctor, but Starline uses his tricore in power mode to defend himself. Surge is too fast though and taunts the doctor, saying that he can only choose one power at a time, unlike her. Getting cocky, Surge tries attacking Starline from the back, and as she does, Starline switches his tricore to flight, dropping from the bridge and getting the upper hand on her. Starline stands over Surge, stating that he has invested too much time into her, but to the shock of the doctor, she gets up fast, reminding him that she has a healing factor, but most importantly, reminding him that he forgot about Kit. Kit grabs him from the back, and Starline tries to weasel his way out of the situation. Surge presses the hypno glove against him and puts him to sleep. Kit asks, "What now?" To which Surge replies that it's time to take everyone down, ending heroes and villains alike, stating that that if they don't get a future, no one does. Surge wants to end Starline here and now, but Kit offers up another plan, saying that they could wait till Starline brings everyone together and then take them all down in one fell swoop. Starline wakes up confused, and Surge explains that he fell asleep giving a mission briefing to the two. They play along with Starline, feeding into his ego, and Starline explains that the next phase of his plan is to infiltrate Eggman's capital city, and there they will pacify him. The hope is that the chaos caused there will lure in the heroes, but unbeknownst to Starline, Surge and Kit have a plan of their own. A flashback of the early days during the metal virus shows us Eggman and Starline as the latter inquires Eggman's mind about why he tries to make theme parks so often. It's clear how enamored with Eggman Starline is, hanging on to every word of his. Catching up to the present, we see how fondly Starline still views Eggman. Starline gives a speech to Surge and Kit stating that after tonight, they will control the narrative and guide the world out of complacency. They zoom off and over Eggman's walls, taking down any defenses in their way. The three actually show off impressive teamwork as they take down a huge badnik in unison. Starline then orders the duo to run a distraction as he overrides the program, and despite how much the two despise him, they do enjoy this part of his plan. The two begin tearing through badniks together as we cut to everyone's favorite henchmen, Orbot and Cubot. Eggman orders them to give him a report of what's going on, as word right now is that Tails and Sonic are making a mess for him. Orbot pulls up a visual of the base, and Eggman is caught off guard a bit as he sees two people that he is completely unfamiliar with, but he regains his composure since he has something to take care of them. Back to Surge, we see her getting a bit overconfident as she says that Sonic must not be trying when he fights Eggman, while she gloats over busted up badniks. In the blink of an eye, Surge is thrown out of view of Kit as Metal Sonic slams her against the wall. Surge gets excited because now she finally has a challenge. She kicks at Metal, who easily dodges her attack, countering by grabbing her leg and slamming her face first into the concrete. Going into a spin dash, she attacks once more, only to be met by Metal's black shield. All beaten up, Surge yells out to Kit to support her. Metal boosts in to finish Surge off, and the two clash, each holding their own. Metal brings his knee up to Surge's stomach, bringing her down to her knees. But as Metal goes in for the final blow, he's grabbed by Kit's hydro arm. He throws Kit to the ground, but this gives Surge enough of an opening to land a spin dash. Dazed for just a moment, Metal's guard is down, and Kit grabs him, putting him into a sphere of water. Surge builds up a bunch of electricity throughout her body and sends it into the sphere of water, shorting out Metal Sonic. She taunts Metal before flicking him to the ground. A bit overconfident if you ask me, since Surge only won due to the fact it was a 2-on-1. Eggman is frustrated at this defeat, and to make matters worse for him, he is alerted about a weird login. Just then, Starline appears on the screen, informing Eggman that he is succeeding him. At the press of a button, Starline now controls all of Eggman's minions, including Orbot and Cubot. Thinking fast, Eggman escapes down a hatch before he could be apprehended. Lifted up by an army of badniks, Starline enjoys his victory over Eggman as he heads to his new seat of power. Once there, Starline commands Orbot to bring every badnik to their location in hopes of drawing Sonic in. Cubot informs Starline that Eggman escaped, and this begins to worry him a bit as we see Eggman gain into the Egg Emperor. Looking at the massive army that Starline has amassed, Kit and Surge begin to discuss how they will take down Sonic upon his arrival. This series does a great job of setting up the characters of Surge and Kit. It's a tragic tale that reminded me a lot of Star Wars. Starline fits the Palpatine character pretty well, using these two for his own personal gains as he manipulates them. You can't help but feel sorry for Surge and Kit, even with all the bad things that they do. Just like Anakin, you can see the mental struggle that they go through, as they are truly lost individuals at this point that need proper guidance. I found the title of this miniseries to be interesting as well. Imposter Syndrome, by definition, is the condition of feeling anxious and not experiencing success internally, despite being high-performing in external ways. So you feel like a fraud, and it's interesting how it relates to our characters throughout. Starline had messed up when it came to being Eggman's protege, and since then, he has been trying to prove himself to get back into the graces of Eggman. He wants to show him that he can be better than Eggman ever was. Starline is a very intelligent character, but we can see he has a lot of self-doubt and goes through a lot of trouble to try to prove it to Eggman and himself himself that he is indeed a great genius. When it comes to Surge and Kit, they are quite frankly made to be imposters. They are Starline's way of making Sonic and Tails. They feel lost and alone and without purpose. What Starline did to them is one of the darkest things that has ever happened in the IDW run. The entire past of these two characters has been erased from their memories. So I would say that I really enjoyed this series throughout. It was a great lead up to the main title where Sonic does run into Surge and Kit, as well as seeing how Eggman responds to Starline's hostile takeover. But let me know what you guys thought about this story below in the comments. As always guys, I wish you all the best. Peace.